Hi everyone, Natasha here, and around my home today I am in my dining room, and we've had a pretty start to the day, but it's a little foggy and cloudy out there. As we roll through December, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed and a little anxious about all the things that have to get done. We had the last week with a lot of activities and events in our town, which I help with, and so we have one more weekend of that coming up. And I did a few things this morning to try and help and take care of myself. So after my shower, I put on my Jordan Essentials magnesium lotion because the magnesium helps with feelings of anxiety. I've had some tea, which always helps lift my mood and make me feel a little bit more like I can just tackle the things on my list. I sat down with my planner and just did a little bit of a brain dump, looked at my schedule, made a list and a plan for the day. So I feel like I have a little bit of a better understanding of what's ahead of me. And now it's time for another tiny tidy since it is Tuesday. And just like Diane in Denmark always says, just putting one foot in front of the other, focusing on what's ahead and getting that done. So I'm gonna grab my timer. If you wanna join along with me and do a little tidying up, you can pick one little spot in your home to tidy with me. So stay tuned for that, and welcome to my dining room. So as usual, I've grabbed my favorite tool for my tidying projects, my trusty timer. So let's go ahead and set the timer. We'll get started right away. I do need to head off to work soon. I'm gonna give myself 15 minutes, and that way, hopefully I can get everything done and put away in just enough time before I leave for work. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I have been working on going through my basement, which has been something that's been on my list for years, and I can't ever seem to get myself down there to work on it. It's dark and dingy. Our home is 100 years old, so it's not the best lighting down there, and I've decided the only way to get it done is to do one box at a time, just like the FlyLady did when she was first decluttering her home. So each week I'm sharing one box or one little pile that's off of a shelf down there, going through the items, deciding what to do, decluttering what I can, and it's given me a much better handle on at least what I have down there. It's given me a little bit more of a sense of organization, and this is just the first layer. So after I've gone through everything that's on the shelves, then I'll be able to work on getting things off the floor because it'll be opening up some of my long-term storage spaces and just keep getting better a little bit week by week. So let's head down to the basement and see what we find. Thank you to Sunday Dawn, who organizes our Tiny Tidy Tuesday collab each week, which is listed in the description below. So as I was carrying this box up from the basement, I noticed a couple of things that I knew I wanted to keep, and they needed to go in my crafting supply bin. So I brought that up from the basement as well. This is one I started a few weeks back, and I've just been gradually adding things to it as I find them. And I'm already feeling so much better just having this box because I didn't realize how much I had just stashed my craft, knitting, crocheting, sewing supplies here and there on those shelves, and I didn't really know what was where. I wasn't sure what I had. So getting all of my supplies and tools in one bin is making me feel so much better because I know now when I go to do a craft project, I've got a single spot to go to find everything. So that's really good. Okay, so this is an old fitted sheet, and I have it in here because I did a lot of sheet decluttering in the last, 6 months or so. I have a friend, and she has, she knows some folks that use old fabric, and they weave it into rugs. So she was collecting up scraps, and this was one that I think right around the time I was doing that, I was going to get rid of it, and my daughter wanted to make something. She every once in a while wants to sew something, she calls it. Usually it's just me helping her learn how to do basic hand stitching. So I ended up just cutting into this old sheet because I thought, oh, that's perfect. And there's been a project on my mind lately that I was wanting to try to sew. It's not gonna happen before Christmas, but now that I know I have this perfect fabric for it, I would like to put that on my New Year list of some of my projects to get into. So I am gonna keep this. I think it's gonna go in here and be part of my sewing and knitting and crafting supplies. So I think think I'll tuck that in here right now while it's on my mind. I may have to rearrange things in here just a little bit. Let me do that first, actually. So this is a keep, but I want to see what else I've got in here. So this is a sewing book from my great-grandmother, I believe. It's either grandmother or great-grandmother. So I would like to keep that because these are just good reference books, and I'm a novice sewer. I know the basics, but I like having things like that on hand. This is a binder of some of my knitting and crocheting supplies, and then a whole bunch of patterns. I'm sure I could declutter this, but it's not going to be today. This is kind of a long-term project to go through here and figure out what I really want to keep and what I can get rid of. So it's going to go in this bin again, so that when I'm ready to do it, I can find it and I know where it is. So that's going to be added to my bin as well. Then I have stamping supplies. And I think I'm ready to get rid of these. I haven't used them in a long time. I might just ask around. I have one sister who's pretty crafty too, and she has my niece is somebody that may want to play with that or use it, so we'll see. And then this is fabric from my mother's wedding dress. And when my oldest niece was first born, my mom had a lady we know take her old wedding dress and cut it up and use it to make a christening gown. And so that christening gown was used for several of the grandkids, and this is kind of the fabric that's left. And I'm keeping it. That may be silly to some of you, but for me, I feel like this would be something that could potentially go even just into making some little something, a little purse or something like that, when my daughter gets married down the road, perhaps. So it's not that much. It's not the entire dress. It's just some scraps from the dress. So I would like to keep that. So that's going to go in my long-term storage as well. And that emptied out that box, which actually surprised me because I thought there was more stuff in there. So let's go ahead and just rearrange and put things in here now. Now this will give me a container. I have an empty box for collecting stuff to get donated. I have my stamping set I'm going to get rid of and see who might want it. If not, I might just donate it. And then this box can go back on the shelf in the basement. And I have about 4 minutes left, 3.5 to 4 minutes left. So let's go do this. Okay, that was my timer, and I have the box back on the shelf. It's opened up another part of the shelf, so I now have more storage space available, and I know those things are being stored properly and they're easier to find, and I know what I have. So thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to check out the playlist down in the description below for all of the ladies doing their Tiny Tidy Tuesday video. Hopefully we gave you some inspiration and motivation just to get up and tidy one little space at a time. And I know this basement series is going to take a while yet, but it feels really good to me that I'm making some progress. I'm having the accountability of sharing it with you every Tuesday and sharing it with all the other ladies who are doing their Tiny Tidy Tuesday projects. And I'm finally getting it done, which is the most important part, because I have had on my to-do list for years now to get down to the basement and declutter and organize and take better care of things down there. And it just was never happening. I was never finding time, motivation, energy, all the things to get downstairs and do that. So I'm so grateful to you for letting me share it with you, for keeping me accountable, and I hope it's helping give you just some motivation to not give up on those hard to organize or declutter projects and maybe think about finding a new way to approach it. The FlyLady did a huge declutter in her home originally, and she started out with the worst room and just taking one bag at a time out of the room and dealing with that. So it's definitely something you can do in bite-sized pieces. It's just finding the way that works best for you. It could be using a timer. So the timer definitely helps me get out of the thinking phase and into the doing phase, and trying to get it done a little bit faster because I know my timer is going to be going off soon. So thanks again. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button down below. I share a tidying project every Tuesday and a planning video every Sunday, and I hope you'll stick around for more. Have a good one, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.